2 years ago in 2023, I was stuck in what I call one-to-one selling. I was spending hours every single week trying to send as much follow-up messages and trying to hop on as many sales calls as possible. I was working harder and harder just to try to convince people to buy my offer and become a client, until I reached a point where I didn't like how much manual effort I needed to do just to get a client. So instead, I started to think of how can I implement a system where clients come to me and them choosing to work with me is their idea and not me trying to push it onto them with messages and sales calls and so on, and being high pressure and coming off as super desperate and needy. So now instead of me chasing prospects, instead what I do now is I run campaigns. Now, what is a campaign? A campaign is where I launch my offer or a product to my entire audience at the same time with a specific start date, end date, and only a limited number of spots available. So instead of trying to convince people one by one, I position myself as the premium choice that they're trying to get access to. Let me give you a real example. The last time I opened up my community, the 2-Hour Club, instead of reaching out to people one by one and trying to convince them to join the community, instead I announced that I was opening doors for 2 weeks to my email list. And I was only accepting a limited amount of people. Here's what happened. 10 people applied and I only accepted 3 people. And from those 3 people, I was able to close deals worth $1,600 without a single sales call. That's $4,800 in revenue without a sales call. And the thing is, people were emailing me, asking me when I would open doors again and applying to join the waitlist so they could join in the next time. And that's the difference between chasing prospects and positioning yourself as a premium choice that people want to work with you. And this is only possible if you know how to create powerful campaigns. And here's the crazy part. I only did this with around 1,000 people on my email list. So you don't need a big audience to start running campaigns. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how campaigns work, why most business owners are trapped doing everything manually. And by the end, you'll understand how to flip the script so clients come to you instead of the other way around. All right, so before I can explain how campaigns work, the first thing I'd like to go over is what are the things that need to happen for people to want to work with you themselves. Okay, so there are 4 basic fundamentals or 4 phases that need to happen for people to want to work with you and to have it being their idea. Okay, so the 4 phases are, the first phase is people need to be aware about you and your stuff. So they need to be aware that they have an offer or something's going on. Okay, when they become aware, then you need to make them somewhat interested. So you need to know how to get their interest. Once you get their interest, the next part is you need to know how to make them consider your offer. Once they consider, the next part is you need to know how to convert them. Okay? So every single person that comes across your stuff, if you want them to have the idea of working with you, being their idea, you need to make sure you know how to go through these 4 phases. Now, in simple terms, someone who's aware of your stuff is a viewer. Someone who has interest in your stuff is probably a subscriber or a follower. Someone who's considering working with you is a lead. They've signaled interest. They've applied to your application to work with you. And then convert is someone who becomes a client or customer. Now, this is very important because people have different forms of ways to implement these 4 phases, right? There are ways that you could implement these 4 phases to basically transfer someone or convert a viewer all the way to a client and customer. Okay, there's 2 ways you could do this. You could either do this one-to-one or you could do this one-to-many. Okay, now campaigns is what allows us to do this one-to-many. So in campaigns, our goal is to address all of our viewers, our subscribers and followers, and try to get them to consider our offer and then use a system or the campaign to convert people into clients and customers. Let me show you exactly how that looks like, comparison between one-to-one, selling one-to-one, and selling one-to-many using campaigns. All right, so if we take these 4 phases, you'll start to notice that it becomes like a funnel. It looks like so. So when people come into our world, which is our funnel, they're going to be viewers at the top, right? Viewers. And then at the bottom, our goal is to convert them into clients, like so. Clients, right? So the way most people do things when they sell one-to-one, if you look at the traditional way, how most people are going to say is for awareness to convert a viewer into a subscriber or a follower or someone that is interested, they would use content and outreach. Okay, they'd create content and they would send messages to try to get them interested into their offer. Then when they get some signal of interest, what they will do is they'll try to book a meeting. So they'll try to book them on a call and try to turn them into a lead. So this is a lead, someone who's going to consider their offer. Then on the call, on their sales call, that is when they're going to share their offer, and that's where they're going to do a conversion. So here's where they try to convert a lead into a client. So here's where they're going to use a call as a conversion system. Now, the thing is when you're selling one-to-one, what's going to happen here is most of these things is going to require your energy. So creating content and sending outreach is going to require manual effort. So manual effort. Booking meetings is going to require you time to send messages. So that's going to require manual effort. You hopping on a sales call is require more of your time. Let's say this is a viewer right here. To convert a viewer all the way into a customer or a client, you need to do this work. So you need to do the work. So you need to basically get them from a viewer all the way to a client, and it requires your manual effort and your energy. Now, this is the problem with selling one-to-many, and when I was doing this, I would get really frustrated with how much time I needed to do in terms of creating content, sending messages, needing to book meetings, needing to hop on sales calls, and then needing to follow up as well to try to get people to convert and then buy the offer. So this is very exhausting and tiring. So this is tiring and energy draining. This is great if you're still a beginner and possibly you want to hit a revenue goal like as fast as possible, and you want to put as much attention into every single person that comes across and make sure that every single person turns into a client. Then yeah, obviously putting more attention to one-to-one, making sure everything is personalized, personalized outreach, making sure you book a meeting, make sure it's very personalized, one-on-one sales call, and you do super high ticket. Yes, this works. But for me, after a certain point, I don't like seeing myself or having my business require me to continuously push every single person to become a client or a customer. So this is more like a push system or push process. What we're trying to do is we're trying to push people to become a client. We're trying to get people, send them the message, and it requires our input into it. Now, on the opposite side of things, when we sell one-to-many, which is how we're going to use campaigns, which I'm going to explain in more detail in a moment, instead, it's a little bit different. So instead of creating content and outreach or creating any type of content, we create a specific type of content that's called perspective shifting content. Now, with perspective shifting content specifically, this content is designed to create intrigue and to create interest in viewers. So that's how we're going to convert a viewer into a subscriber, an email subscriber in our case. Okay, our goal is to convert a viewer into a subscriber, and we use perspective shifting content. Now, perspective shifting content, it does two things. With perspective shifting content, our goal is to increase problem awareness. So we want to show that this is the problem you have, and this is what happens if you continue with this problem. This increases interest in our offer. And we also show that we have a unique offer or a clear path. So we show that, hey, you have this problem, and by the way, I was able to solve it, and I use this unique path or unique methodology. Now, when people see that you are sharing content that shows that you know their problem better than they do, and that you have the answers to that, you have a unique clear path methodology that's different from other people, people are likely gonna want to subscribe. They're gonna subscribe to your email list and so on. Now, the key thing here is when they become a subscriber in our email list, then we have an audience. Okay, so now we have an audience that we could sell one-to-many over here. So the way we turn subscribers into leads is two ways. Either they join our email list, which is right over here, or they DM us asking about our offer. And this is because we know how to create perspective shifting content. Okay. If you want to learn more about how to create perspective shifting content, I have a guide below. You can grab it for free. It shows you exactly how I use perspective shifting content in my business to generate leads, customers, and buyers. All you got to do is put in your name and email. You get a free access to the guide. When someone's in our email list, the way we're going to sell to them is we're going to use email sequences. So we're going to send them an email, and we're going to sell using sales assets. So sales assets is kind of like, it's going to be either a video, like a form of media. It's either going to be a video, like a video sales letter, or it could be like a document, like a text document, or it could even be like a slide deck, which I've seen some people doing deck sales letter where they have a slide deck. But what matters here is we're using sales assets that will explain the offer clearly and show that people, hey, this is what you get. And then we're going to use email sequences, which is the campaign. Okay, so we're going to use a campaign in combination with explaining the offer using a video sales letter, a text document, slide deck, or possibly sometimes it could be a simple landing page. Then when we use these email sequences, what we're going to do is we're going to open doors and we're going to say, hey, this offer is open for X amount of days. If you want in, you could join in on X date. Okay, it's going to be open until this date, until we close. On the day we close, you can't buy this anymore. Now, that is what makes a campaign. Now, when you do it this way, when you have an audience and you create these campaigns, it creates a sense of buzz and excitement, and it makes people want to join, makes people look interested into what the offer is. Here's where we have limited spots and a deadline. Okay, we have limited spots and a deadline, and that's what converts people into clients, like so. Because what we want to do is we want to include scarcity and urgency, because if we just say an offer is open all the time, then people are going to think, oh, not today, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next time. So there's no reason to act now. But when you include limited amount of spots and you say that, hey, look, there's a deadline, people are going to consider, they're more likely going to take action. They have a reason to act now. Okay, so this is how you convert clients, viewers, subscriber leads, and clients. And this way works significantly better because instead of pushing, we're trying to pull people. So let's say this is the viewer right over here, viewer, and this is a client. So instead what we're doing is we're trying to pull them. So the system or the campaign is doing the work here. So instead of us needing to do everything manually over here where we are sending outreach or booking meetings or doing one-on-one sales calls and we're trying to follow up to convert a viewer all the way to a client, instead we have these elements in place or assets in place. We have perspective shifting content, which is a type of asset we send. We have an email list. And if people want to get direct information about the offer, they can inbound request us on reply to an email or directly message us on social media if we are posting on social media. Then to get people from leads into clients, which is people in our email list, they're subscribers, we use email sequences. We use a campaign here. This is a campaign. These two parts over here is the parts of the campaign. These two parts over here. Okay, so perspective shifted content on the front end gets viewers to subscribers. We get people to join our email list. They become a lead because they're in our email list. And if they want to inbound request, they can send us a message on social media. And then because we have this audience, the next part is we use a campaign. So we use email sequences plus sales assets that sell on offer. And then we have limited spots and deadline. And that gets us to convert leads into clients. Now, let me show you exactly how campaigns would work in terms of converting a lead all the way into a customer. All right, so a campaign is simply a coordinated sequence of communication throughout different phases where we build up anticipation towards a launch date, where we open doors and we share our offer. And again, our offer can be, it will be in a sales asset. So again, this could be a text document, a video, a a sales pitch, whichever it is. We open doors and we share the sales asset and we tell people, hey, this is open for X amount of days until you close the door. Okay, and then after you close the doors, you tell people, hey, we're closed. And then you say, hey, if you want in the next time, here's a wait list, you can join in. Now, the key thing here, it's not only about launching dates and closing dates. What you do before matters, because people want to buy things because there's a buzz and excitement and it feels like it's new. Like this is why people travel, why people buy concert tickets, and they do all these things because they have anticipation. They want to go into an event. They want to feel like it's their idea to do something exciting and fun. So that's what we want to do. That's what a campaign does. A campaign basically does this. It builds anticipation, buzz, and excitement. So a lot of people, when they make a mistake, when they have an email list or they have a big following, they'll just launch. They'll say, hey, I'm opening up 2 spots to my offer. It could work if you have a lot of demand, inbuilt demand already, but generally what we want to do is we want to build the demand for the offer that we're going to be promoting. So here's where we have a pre-launch phase. And in our pre-launch phase, our goal is to basically, our goal is to test and capture demand. We want to share with our audience that we're coming up with something. Hey, I'm coming up with something. So you'd say, hey, I'm working on something. Before I work on it and build it, I want to see if there's people that actually are interested in this. If you're interested in this, whatever the benefit your offer is going to be, you can ask people to reply or to apply. So what's going to happen is our goal here is to capture the demand. Once we capture the demand and we understand, okay, there's enough people that want this offer, then we announce dates, which is what we do here. Now, we only announce dates when we have enough demand, because we don't want to push an offer that people don't want, because then we're just going to do the one-to-one selling. We're going to need to do personalized things, and we're going to really need to push people to buy things. What we want to do is to make a campaign work, we need to have an offer that people already want. So here's where we do a pre-launch phase, where people would call this market research, where we test and capture demand so we know exactly how to package the offer. And then when we announce dates, it builds anticipation. We know exactly what to announce. So when we announce dates, we say, hey, when we announce dates, here's where we say, I'm launching X offer on date. And then you'd hype it up. Say, I'm launching X offer on date. I'm going to go over exactly how to do benefit. You're going to be able to do it without problem. And I'm only going to let in 3 people. Okay, you do an announcement date. Then when you do an announcement date, what's going to happen is you're starting the pre-launch phase. So we're done with the pre-launch. We're launching the pre-launch phase. In the pre-launch phase, our goal is to try to capture as much people that want to take action early. So like I mentioned, I'm launching X offer on X date. I'm going to show you exactly how to do benefit, so you can do it without problem, or pain point, frustration. And if you're interested, click on this link and you can join in early. So you can offer an early bird offer, or you can get people to actually apply early and buy before you even open doors. So you're kind of selling in private and you're trying to capture as many people. But you tell people there's still X amount of spots. So the most important thing here is that you have a limited amount of spots. If I forgot to mention this earlier, you have a limited amount of spots. Whenever you set a campaign, in the announcement dates, you're going to announce the timeline, which the day you're going to launch. You're going to announce the timeline, which is the day you're going to launch, the launch date and the close date, and then the amount of spots, number of spots. Now, this is very important, because if you launch to unlimited spots and you don't have any deadline, there's going to be no scarcity and urgency. You give people no reason to take action. I've seen firsthand people take action just because there's limited spots and just because there's a deadline to it. Because they know, if they know it's not going to be here later, they're going to want to take action now. And you want people to take action now, because then when are they going to take action? They're never going to take action. Okay, so when the pre-launch phase, our goal is to build anticipation. So all of the emails or the content that we're going to be sharing in the pre-launch phase is we're going to say, hey, I'm launching doors. This is, if you want in, join in. You could share like client case studies. You could share like perspective shifting emails, which talks about pains, problems, and then showing how you're going to solve it when you launch the doors. So the content here, or the communication, the emails we're going to be sending here, is basically our goal is to build anticipation. We want to say, okay, doors are opening. It's going to be excited. You want to build up a hype for it. Okay. Now, when you launch doors, when you reach the launch doors, if you haven't filled up all your spots, sometimes if the offer is really good and you say you're going to open doors, sometimes you might be sold out even before you open doors. So here's where you tell either people, say, hey, if all the spots are taken, you tell them, hey, look, all spots are taken. Usually won't happen. This is very rare unless you're like the offer you create is super in demand and people really want to work with you. This might happen in future campaigns. In the future, once you run campaigns in a row, you build up a lot of demand. People already want in. You're already at a premium service. You have high status. Then you'd sell. But generally, if this is your first campaign, you're not going to fit all spots. You don't need to make this announcement saying, hey, all spots are taken. So here on the launch date, what you're going to do is you're going to actually share your offer. So in the pre-launch phase, when you're building anticipation, you are sharing your offer privately. So the offer was shared privately. Now, when you do the launch date, what you're going to do is you will start the sales period or the sales phase by launching your offer to anyone. You'll open the doors, you'll share the link, and you'll open up the landing page. You say, hey, we're open. It's going to be open for the next 7 days or however period you want. And you can tell people, hey, there's X amount of spots left, or these are X amount of spots that we're going to open up for the offer. Okay, then you open up your offer. Then in the sales period, what you're going to do here is you're going to do the same thing. You're going to share stories about client transformation. You're going to talk about how people have problems. You're going to share your philosophy, why you believe things work a certain way and why the traditional way doesn't work. And you're going to share like outcome things, anything else that you've achieved in your business or your clients achieved. Now, what's going to happen is as you share communication, every single day, you're going to remind people that there's X amount of spots left. So like if spots are taken, you're gonna update people. So let's say you have 5 spots and day 2 comes along out of day 7 and 2 spots are taken. So you're gonna tell people there's 3 spots left and there's X amount of days left. So this builds excitement. This gets people thinking, oh, this offer is in demand. People are actually wanting it. So I want in too. Okay, people want things what other people want. Okay, so here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna implement urgency and scarcity. So we're gonna share an email. Our emails are going to share urgency and scarcity. We're going to say, hey, look, we're closing on an X date and there's X amount of spots until we reach the closing date. So in the closing date, we either close once we reach a deadline, or once all spots are filled. So once all spots are filled, if we fill all spots before the deadline, then we make an announcement and say we're closed, all spots are filled. Okay. Now the goal here is whenever we set a campaign, I didn't mention this earlier, the amount of spots we set, we always want to set this amount of spots be less than the demand we got at the beginning. So if we do a pre-launch and we get, let's say, 30 people were interested in, 30 people said, yes, I'm interested, or 30 people applied to work with you, applied to work for your mentorship or whatever. What we're going to do is going to limit the spots to maybe 30% or no more than 50%. So it's 30 people, you limit it to around 10 people or even less, maybe 5 is even better. So then you can continuously fill these spots and you can make people see that your offer or working with you is a premium and that you always sold out. So the next time they're more likely to take action. So you being in control of the supply and demand tension puts you in the premium position. So this is something I didn't mention earlier. This is very important. Okay, so with that in mind, when we close our doors, there's going to be people, because we have limited spots, there's going to be people that missed out. Okay, there's going to be people that weren't able to buy. So here's where we're going to have a wait list. Now, what we're going to do when we close doors, we're going to tell people, hey, look, all spots are filled out. We hit the deadline. I'm closed. I'm going to focus on helping my clients. I'm going to focus on helping these people get results. You're going to tell people apply to the wait list. So then people apply to joining your program, and that creates demand. So the key thing about a campaign is that a campaign works by working with the demand and supply tension. Okay, this is very important. Demand and supply tension. If we don't have good demand supply tension, then campaigns don't really work that great. Because then if you launch an offer and you don't understand that there's no demand for it, you're going to have a very big supply and it's going to be very difficult to sell. Then you're going to be forced to push, you're going to forced to personally message people and so on. So campaigns work when you have really big demand. So our goal here in the end of things is always to make sure we have demand and we create an offer that people want. We build up the demand, we build up the anticipation in the pre-launch. We contain that demand. We manage the demand by having a deadline and X amount of spots. And then once we fill those spots, once we close the cart, we have the deadline, then we have a wait list to capture that demand. So our goal every single time is, let's say this is the timeline. So our goal is, let's say this is the demand for our offer. It goes up and then it goes down as we close. Every time so our demand goes up and then goes down, right? Because our offer is going to be on all the time. Okay, so with every time we close doors, what we want to do is we want to capture this demand. So next time the demand goes up, like so. So our demand goes up, our demand goes up. So then working with us becomes a premium. And this is why I like campaigns a lot, because then when we are in control of demand, it makes us look like we're premium and it makes people want to work with us instead of needing us to push people. So this is why I really like this system, because what's going to happen here is we have content that creates intrigue towards what we offer on the front end. This is stuff you'd post on social media. People will join our email list. They turn into leads, and then we run campaigns to continuously sell an offer. Now, these offers you can run this system for anything. You can run this for a high ticket offer. You can run this for a low ticket sales. It doesn't really matter. What really works is you can run these campaigns whenever. So you can test offers very quickly. You can test the demand. Do people want this offer? No. If people don't want it, don't work on it. You work on the next offer and so on. So this is way better in my opinion, because then we're pulling viewers into clients, and then I don't need to put in all this effort into clients. I could sit over here. Let's say this is me. This is me over here. I could sit over here. I could let the system filter out the viewer, the subscriber, the leads, and the clients for me. So people will come across my content. They join my email list. They go through my email sequence of sales assets, and then they apply to work with me. So then I could choose who to work with, and the system does it for me instead of me going out and trying to hunt for leads and try to book calls and do clients. This works. This can work really great, but I like a system where it does the work for me and it filters. So yeah, this is how I use campaigns. Now, if you'd like more information on the exact funnel that I use to run my business, I recorded a video. It's called a 2-hour funnel, and I'm using that exact funnel to grow my business to $50,000 per month. If you'd like to see that, you can click right over here in the cards or check it out in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next video.